everyone. Greetings and welcome to this very unusual edition of Aussienaut. So I'm bringing back Reigniting the Space Down Under, and joined with me here in the studio is Brian Lim. Live, he's right here. I can touch the guy. the aerodynamic effect on your hair, glinting off the lights is great.
Hey, listen, I thought we could play a little because, you have the studio down the middle here. I could pretend that I'm in one studio and then he's in another studio. I'm pretending this is like I'm separate places, but he's already broken the reality of it.
Yes, we can actually touch each other, punch each other, all the friendly stuff. So welcome everyone.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us here on this very new Igniting the Space Down Under, or reigniting in this case. It's an absolute privilege to welcome Brian Lim into my studio, and we're going to get started with a little bit of space news. So just remember, before we get into the Australian space news, remember everyone that the Q&A is already open. So if you want to go along and ask myself and Brian any questions during this entire live stream, we will be doing that. So greetings to Jim from Scotland. So hey, how's it going? JT, hey guys, how you doing? Good to have you along as well. And again, Jim, hello to me and you. We're sitting right alongside each other.
Absolutely.
This is weird.
Yeah, I know. I see you in 3D for the first time. It's such a strange feeling.
Do I look better or worse?
I value my life and in your studio. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, thank you. Most appropriate.
Yeah.
Well done. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just looking at you and the aerodynamic look, and I'm just thinking to myself, maybe I should shave my head. I'm thinking about it.
Look, if we're going to do this show and you do that, you got to dim the lights, or because all our audience will be like deer in headlights.
Yeah, there might well be. Oh my god. So anyway, so I was thinking about shaving my head. I'm actually thinking about doing it permanently. You were telling me just before we went on air that there's a secret handshake to all of this. Were you telling me the truth, or you just winding me up?
Well, the handshake you got to start like this to prove that your head is smooth, right? And then you go do the other thing.
Yeah. That's it. All right, we better get into the space stuff, I guess. So yeah, look, we'll start out with a bit of Australian space news, and we'll get started out like this.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Copy, 1 Alpha.
Vehicle spinning downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
So that was the FREM-2 mission. That was the first human spaceflight mission to explore Earth's polar regions from a low Earth orbit. It was a private space mission. It was launching from Florida on the 1st of April. The FREM-2 entered into a 90-degree circular orbit to the south, making it the first ever human spaceflight to fly over the Earth's polar regions. The mission was the first for many reasons. The first being that this was the first time to space for the entire crew. So this was even though it was a private space mission, it was the first time for the entire crew. It was commanded for this entire crew here. It was commanded by Chun Wang. Chun was originally born and raised in China and is now a Maltese citizen. He has been involved in cryptocurrency industry for over a decade. He is the founder of F2 Pool, a Bitcoin mining company, and Stakefish, a validator of various crypto protocols. Wang was in command of FREM-2, and then there was I'm going to worst pronunciator in the world, Jannicke Mikkelsen, a British-born Norwegian film director and cinematographer based in Svalbard, was the vehicle commander. Jannicke specialises in fringe technology, developing cutting-edge tools for filmmaking and challenging and remote locations, including the Arctic, ocean, aviation, and now space. The mission was piloted by Rabia Rogue. Rabia is an electrical engineer, robot researcher, and polar scientist. She also is the first female German astronaut and is currently pursuing her PhD. Lastly, and most importantly, was the Australian mission specialist and medical officer, Eric Phillips. Eric is a distinguished polar adventurer and guide and boasts an impressive portfolio of ski expeditions both to the North and South Poles. He's co-founder of the International Polar Guides Association and co-creator of the Polar Expeditions Classification Scheme, and which has cemented his position as a respected figure in the international polar community. He's also the first Australian astronaut to fly to orbit. Previously, the other astronauts were Australian-born Paul Scully-Power and Andy Thomas, both who had to become naturalized US citizens before flying on their first NASA missions. Fram2 is also a mission pays homage to the Norwegian polar vessel. There's a couple of images there, just a couple of images of the actual recovery of the crew vessel. There we go. Got the right image. All right, Fram 2 mission pays homage to the Norwegian polar exploration vessel, the Fram. It was the first ship to journey south to journey to both the North and South Poles between 1893 and 1912. This connection is further solidified by the crew's decision to bring a fragment of the ship's teak deck with them into space. The astronauts also conducted the first ever X-ray in space, which is this one here. 130 years after the first X-ray was performed on Earth. Additionally, they completed a brain mapping EEG experiment and contributed to continuous glucose monitoring study that researched how fluid shifts in space affect the accuracy of glucose monitors for people with diabetes. So there we go. The Fram 2 mission had an Australian astronaut on board, not the Aussienaut, not this Aussienaut, but it had an Australian astronaut on board. So, Brian.
I'm just glad that we got somebody up there. Well, from the land down under, it's nice to be
Up over?
Up over. Yeah, up and above. Not so down, it'll be up. Yeah, up and over.
Yeah, up and over.
Up and over.
Yeah, we had statistically we had to get one sooner or later, but Eric Phillips is one of those Australians that seems to have done it all. He certainly has had a very illustrious career. He has his own. I was researching him earlier this morning, just before to do some thorough research on the guy. He has a family as well, and he ever since he graduated high school, it's South Australia. He lives in Melbourne currently. He's gone to both the North and South Poles multiple times. He's now recognised as a world leader. He has a massive website about all this sort of stuff. So yes, we've actually had a real good Aussie in space and on a private space mission. And it's just really, really interesting that it finally happened. Yeah. It finally happened. So I'm really, really happy about that. So, it's just a relief that we actually had somebody up there. So my question for you, Brian, I guess, is do you happen to know whether or not the Australian Space Agency was involved in that one at all?
I have no clue on this one.
Why do I bring you to these things?
It's for my good looks, right? Such a commercial break. I sell hair products.
That's not a commercial break. I don't have those. But these poor people who tune in for these live streams being subjected to commercials. I can say I'm still proudly commercial free. All right. So we're going to press right along and get into the next part and the next component, which is. So by the way, just remember, guys, that the Q&A is still open. So if you want to ask any questions yourselves, please feel free to do so. Just a small, quick reminder that is still there. All right. Oh, there was one other thing that happened as well. Hang on, just a minute. I forgot to show it. This is my fault entirely. Just during the mission, there was actually this that happened as well. This is the opening of the cupola, which was first used in Inspiration 4 mission. This was then used, not the exact same one, but the cupola design was used for this Fram 2 polar mission.
Gotta admit, it's really cool to have a view like that.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Cloudy.
Imagine doing that.
Yeah. Because I cannot see much.
Yeah.
You know what's that? I think we are at about 120 degrees east.
You be very careful with the seals there.
I'm flying north. Probably 15 minutes we'll be in Australia.
Nice. Okay, I've just got to move this momentarily.
Oh, there's already so much fog on here. Oh.
There is.
Yes.
Look at that curvature of the Earth. The other thing is too is it's quite surprising how
John's been
noisy
waiting for this moment all his life.
the actual capsule is. The whine of the motors and everything you can hear
Very
in the
happy for
background.
you, John.
I guess soundproofing isn't going to help
weird.
here.
It doesn't-
No, you need to actually hear exactly to make sure everything is still working.
This is incredible. Look at it. So
I mean, that would be the
beautiful.
worst thing possible, right? Like you're on a plane, you're flying, and suddenly you don't hear the whirl of the engine.
Oh, no. No.
So if you're in a space capsule and you don't hear the whirl of the motors pumping air, it's the same thing.
yeah. This is just spectacular footage that the Fram2 mission took, and it gives you a very good idea of what it could potentially be for everyone getting to space, that we all could experience something like this, especially if you go on a private space flight. Just as a quick note, none of these people have been to space themselves before.
Use it as a stabilizing.
Pretty socks.
Look at this.
Oh, that's a bizarre shot. Earth looks so alive.
We call it a spacewalk.
That has got to be the best joke I think I've
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm really pathetic.
Spacewalk. Yep. He's
Oh.
spacewalk in his socks. I give them. I gotta give it to them.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
That's right,
Absolutely amazing. Oh, anyway, getting into it. So yes, it is great to see. Oh, hang on, I've cut you off. I'm so sorry. Let me just see if I can fix that on the fly. Let me just move that up a little bit. Oh, of course, everything is just going wrong as you expect it to. It wouldn't be one of my live streams if it didn't. All right, so it's cut off a little bit. So Jim is actually saying it's great to see an Australian astronaut. Looking forward to seeing another Brit in space. That's true. Mind you, Jim, you've actually had Tim Peake, so you know. You should be good. We haven't had anybody for such a long time. And yes, they are absolutely utterly amazing views, Jim. And the socks is something special in itself entirely. And yeah, it's just amazing to see that the people who have never been to space actually got a chance to go to space. And I know it's a private mission, and I know that was funded by a crypto billionaire and whatever else, but still, it's amazing. Hey, the ultimate question is, would you go? If you had a chance to go to space with either SpaceX or another provider, we'll get into the other providers a bit later. There's a reason for that. Let me just tell you that in a second. So would you actually go to space?
I can tell you right now that I'm not interested in doing a joyride.
So it need to be more of a complete mission.
Yeah, look, you want me to go do something up there? Hell, I will water the plants. But I want to do something. I'm not there for a joyride, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's probably a good segue into the next section, actually. That we might get straight into that one next.
Got it? 1, 2, 3. Taking up space!
We're doing astronaut training today. We're going to learn everything that you need to know to fly a nominal mission to space.
We're beginning the simulation at T+2 minutes. Separation is confirmed.
It is my pleasure to tell you, you've passed Does that make you feel confident? Does that make you feel
It
good?
makes it start to feel even more real.
What is the vibe of the New Shepard crew this morning now that the morning is finally here?
Oh, there is so much energy here.
It's not about going to space, it's about what we bring back. And I get to go with 5 incredible women.
We are all in our places, bright, shiny faces.
Babies, I love you so much. Love you, Grandpa. I love you, Daisy. I love you so much. Here we go. 2, 1. Look at the moon.
Oh my gosh.
You see that?
Oh my gosh. I got you, Flynn.
Gotcha.
Oh my
space
gosh.
travel. That's amazing.
There comes it, the rocket down. It's going to relight its engine.
I have almost no words. It was the most incredible experience of my life.
I feel super connected to love. You never know how much love is inside of you.
I will never be the same. And there's no boundaries, there's no border, there's just Earth.
Now that I've done it, I really do feel I can take on anything.
No dream is too wild. If it's going to space, you can absolutely make it through, and it can absolutely be possible.
I don't think you can describe it. You look at it and you're like, we're all in this together.
Okay, that was the NS-31 that launched just recently. That was by Blue Origin. The suborbital space flight took place on the 14th of April, 2025, and lasted for exactly 10 minutes and 21 seconds. The passengers included... I've lost all my... What have I done? Ah!
He's destroyed.
What have I done?
He took away my half of the screen.
Oh, no. Let me...
Got it?
Oh, anyway, I don't know how this has happened, but I'm just going to have to put it back on myself and Brian. I apologize, everyone. I've had an anomaly there. My own little anomaly on launch, but there we go. All right, so new shop. Getting back to where we were. Apologize for that. Apologize for all the images that went around everywhere. Something happened. I have misprogrammed something somewhere along the lines, and all my shortcuts and everything didn't work at that particular point in time. And yes, in case anybody was wondering, this is for my teleprompter, which I have, which is just there. But anyway, so let me just get on with exactly what this was about. The Blue Origin suborbital space flight took place on the 14th of April 2025, lasting 10 minutes and 21 seconds. The passengers included Katy Perry, Carrie Ann Flynn, Amanda Newen, Ashia Bowie, Gail King, and Lauren Sanchez. History was made with Aisha, the first Bahamian in space, and Amanda, the first Vietnamese woman in space, and who were the ones who flew to the stars. The mission was faced with widespread criticism for being pinkwashed or insincerely feminist. Some criticisms were targeted at Blue Origin's founder and owner, Jeff Bezos, due to the Amazon's workplace practices, while others criticized the mission as indulgent and out of touch, especially during the heightened economic anxieties. Just a little bit about the actual people who went to space. The tourists. Aisha is the CEO of Stemboard Inc. Stemboard and Inc. 5000 recognized engineering firm and founder of Lingo, an ed tech company focused on tech skill development, and is also a global STEM advocate, entrepreneur, and former NASA rocket scientist. Amanda is a bioastronautics research scientist, Harvard graduate and has conducted research at esteemed institutions such as Harvard Center for Astrophysics, MIT, NASA, and the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences. Her impressive career includes working on the final space shuttle mission, the STS-135, and Kepler exoplanet mission. Gail King is the host of King in the House on Sirius XM Radio and editor-at-large of Oprah Daily. She also co-hosts CBS Mornings and is award-winning journalist. Katy Perry is a global pop star and is a best-selling female artist in the Capitol Records' history and has accumulated over 115 billion streams. Beyond musical success, Katy is a dedicated philanthropist. I knew I'd get every time.
Don't worry.
Philanthropist. And she also serves as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador, advocating for children's rights to health, education, equality, and protection. Additionally, through her Firework Foundation, she empowers children from underserved communities by fostering their creativity and self-expression through the arts. Carrie Ann Flynn transitioned from a successful career in fashion and human resources to community building through board service and non-profit work with organizations including this Alan Stevenson's School, the High Line, and Hudson River Park. Driven by a passion for storytelling's transformative power, she has produced impactful films like This Changes Everything from 2018, exploring women's history in Hollywood, and Lily 2024, which is a tribute to fair pay advocate Lily Ledbetter. Lauren Sanchez is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and is partner of Jeff Bezos. She's also a New York Times best-selling author, pilot, mother of three, and is the vice chair of the Bezos Earth Fund. In 2016, who holds a helicopter pilot's license, founded the Black Ops Aviation, the first female-owned and operated aerial film and production company. All right, there we go. I managed to get through it. So apologize that I didn't have the images to go along with it. Just picture in your heads of the couple of people you know quite well who they are. So quick question to you, Brian. What do you think about that mission? And what do you think about the mission? And what's the fallout that's happened? Is it fair or is it unjustified?
Man, I got a lot I want to say. I'm going to get it off my chest, right? Look, I think it was handled poorly. I think, look, first, all power to them. They got a chance to go to space. Most of us haven't. Give them that credit, right? That's what they got. When I watched that video you just played, the opening line they said was, "We are going to teach you how to launch a nominal mission to space." They just sat there like a passenger. So this is the thing: you say one thing, and you do another.
Yep.
And that's where I'm going. That's not fair. You're gonna show you how to launch a nominal mission. Where's all the training? There's not even a freaking console to push a button.
Yeah, I understand that, but look. Okay, all right. So there is a very good reason why I did this the way I have this evening during this live stream is just simply because the thing that's occurred to me the most is yes, there was a tie to an Australian who has actually flown a private space mission with a cryptocurrency billionaire, all that sort of stuff. And he's basically an Arctic explorer or the polar explorer. He does both poles, and it's great to finally have an Australian out there and represented. So, but when it comes down to tourism and what the New Shepard's Flight 31 was all about, that was just simply a way to generate interest in the actual space industry. Because for both, and this is the thing, is that for both, isn't this what we're aiming for? Isn't this what we're doing? Is we're trying to get as many people to space as possible. And yes, the overuse of celebrity in that instance probably went too far. I don't know. But I don't think it's nearly as deserving of all the backlash that it's received. I mean, yes, it's horribly tone deaf. given what's happened in the United States at the moment with everything. And it's not just, I'm not going to take political sides or anything like that. It's just, it's not great what's going on in the United States from the outside perspective of Australia. Let me just say that. We see a lot as well, guys, just to let you know if anyone's tuning in from the US. So it was possibly horribly tone deaf, but the fact that 6 women of celebrity went to space, yes, they're tourists, but isn't this what we're aiming for? That anybody can go to space?
If you want anybody to go to space, where's the average Joe?
Yeah, good point.
You know, but okay, I take your point. We want more people to go to space. I've got no argument on that. I think you can tell the intent of it. And the intent is not show me how awesome space is. It's I want to borrow as much celebrity star power I can. And that's sort of where it sort of takes off a little bit. You know, I can have an argument about it's a good comment would be like, you know, we talk about just because I rode on a plane to get here to Brisbane, that makes me a pilot. You know,
yeah, I understand your point.
You know, so like there's that argument. I'll leave it as that for that. But what is concerning here is that it is nothing to do with the fact that women are going to space.
No, okay.
It is all to do with somebody wrapping up a massive PR propaganda machine.
Yeah.
You see, look, we all want women to have equal opportunity. You know, if you want to take it down this pathway, I'll take it down this pathway for a little bit. So, do you want them to pass the same standards as the men? Equal opportunity, equal rights. If you cross the bar, let's go there.
I don't. Sorry to interrupt your point, but I don't think we need to go there.
Okay.
The reason why is because I think it's got to do with. Sorry, I'll just before we get into my point, which I'm about to make. So just a reminder, everyone, that the Q&A is open. So if you want to go and proffer your opinion on all of this, please do. Thank you very much, Jim, for actually supporting me for all this sort of stuff. So I am trying to keep up the good work. So I appreciate it, mate. As always. But yeah, look, if anybody's got any further opinions or any comment they want to make in the chat, please do. Because yeah, I think that the point I want to make is I think it comes down to we want people to go to space, but there are 2 different versions of going to space. There is the tourist version, and then there is the which is what Jeff Bezos offers, which is a quick jaunt to space, which is you're 3 minutes in space. It's a safer version of going to space. Yeah. Richard Branson, I think, did the same thing with Virgin Orbit. No, not Virgin Orbit. Virgin Galactic. Sorry, Virgin Orbit failed. I forgot my facts.
Yeah.
So I think it's that the timing wasn't great, but I think it's the delivery of it is there's a difference. There is now a stark difference coming out between the vessels that are used. That there are straight tourist rides, and this is the thing: is that there are people who will. And there's a point to a question I asked you earlier, which was there are people who will be happy just having a taste, and there were people who will do nothing more but get that taste, and that's all they want. They want the taste. They don't want anything else. They're happy with the taste. They're ready to come back to Earth. And then there's those people who go on those tourist flights who get a taste and they want nothing else. And I think that's where the difference comes in, is when you're talking about the Fram 2 mission as an example and you going to space, the question I asked earlier, I'm going to wrap it right around. Look at me trying to circle things around, almost like I'm a professional.
Wait, what? That's new to me.
I know, me too. I'm the one who's most surprised. So the point is that if it gives someone a taste of what they can possibly do, isn't that better than not having a taste at all, or only giving a taste to those people who can afford the big SpaceX polar mission? So just for a price comparison point, I believe 100% rumor I saw one thing that said there was a $150,000 US ticket, which is substantially less than Virgin Galactic, which is $250,000 a ticket. As far as I understand it, the FRAM2 mission cost anywhere northwards of $20+ million. So that's quite a substantial difference. And you took 6 people to space as opposed to just taking the 4. Yes, you've got more to deal with. You've got to keep people fed and watered and take care of waste and make sure everything's air conditioned. And in that environment, you can send the capsule further, and that's what SpaceX is trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's for people on their way to becoming a full-blown exploration. Let's go out and explore the solar system, which is we're not there yet.
Right.
So that's my argument, is that isn't this a good way to give people that taste?
Okay. In fairness, someone like Katy Perry, she doesn't have a background in the space industry.
No.
So her distance, her relative distance from what she does to touching space is much further than someone like myself, who actually has sent hardware into space, and who interacts enough with the space industry to actually, give a shit about what that actually means. And so I have knowledge. I'm more opinionated than anything because I have done hardware in space. So from that perspective, I agree with you, right? It empowers people who have no recollection or contact on touching with the space industry in any way to have a chance at space. And I think that's good. If I put my space person hat on, I feel that I've been cheated. I have spent more time, money, and effort putting hardware in orbit. And then suddenly someone can put 150 grand and go up themselves. And I almost feel like I've been cheated of my hard work. Like I'm trying to do really different experiments. I'm trying to turn it into a business, and I get that. Then somebody comes and says, "Oh, 150K, and you get to fly," and I'm like, "What?"
But I understand what you're saying, but okay, I don't really have an argument for that, a response for that. I might go switch over the quick. See, look at this. I'm trying to get out like a professional and switching to the viewer questions.
You're right, viewer questions.
Viewer questions. So Jim actually says, I understand Brian's point is like doing a sponsored parachute jump and then saying you're a paratrooper. Yeah, good point. But I understand what you're saying too. Being me, kids watching the Bezos flight might get into STEM, and I think that's largely the point. And I understand that it's an insult to you that it's really difficult for you to put hardware into space. But I'll point out as well that that dynamic is also changing. As in, so with getting hardware to space, were you on a rideshare mission?
Yes.
By
University of Sydney.
Yep, and SpaceX.
Yes.
Yeah, you went up on SpaceX.
Yes.
And the only way that happened to get more people up there was to use SpaceX.
Yeah, that's true.
And I understand. I'm not trying to. Don't hit me. Crack them knuckles. I just realized how close in proximity we actually are. So I understand that, but that's the thing is the industry as a whole is changing, and it's making it more accessible for everyone. Because currently at the moment, and I think there's a point here. What happened to Gilmore Space? Have they folded or something? At the moment, the answer to that question is we don't know.
In fairness, Gilmore is still an operating entity. They're still listed on the stock exchange. And
Correct. They're still there. So don't get me wrong. Even though I've said that, so in terms of their, sorry, I was while I was muted and all that sort of stuff, I was trying to fix the comments and all that sort of stuff, and I've done that successfully just to let everyone know what I was doing when I was leaning closer. All right, so the point I was going to make is that Gilmore Space Technologies at the moment have been saying since I did my interview with them in 2019, they've been saying next year, and they've been saying that for consecutive years, and I've very keenly waited for it as a space enthusiast, an Australian space enthusiast as well. The issue is at the moment is that Gilmore Space has been granted a launch license, and that was granted in November last year. And I'm just explaining it for you already know this, but I'm explaining it for everyone out there. So they were granted their launch license, and they were going to launch in March this year. Unfortunately, at the same time, there was a cyclone that came through and hit Brisbane, where we are here. And it was not a very powerful cyclone, but still it's powerful enough. And with the cyclone and the size of our cyclones being around about 400 to 600 kilometres in size from edge to edge, they're quite massive things. And what that's done is that even though Gilmore Space was due to launch in March, that actually put them off in terms of doing that first sovereign launch up at Bowen, which is, I think it's 1,600 kilometres away. The upper atmosphere was not that great at that particular point in time. So again, I'm back to where I was before, which is hopefully I've crossed everything this time, and Gilmore will do something this year in terms of being able to launch. But for the moment, until they are able to launch successfully and publicize that information quite openly, that they've been successful or they've failed or whatever they've done, because after a certain point in time, when you're dealing with this sort of stuff from the outside, and it's perfectly normal to do, is companies go quiet about what they're doing. And so I rely, like everyone else, I rely on public information, and I also have a little bit of inside information into what's happening in Gilmore internally, but I don't discuss that. That's because like every company, they have their own difficulties and whatever else. And so I'm keenly waiting for Gilmore Space, but until they launch and successfully launch and provide launch opportunities for Brian to get his hardware to space, the only other way for you to get to space is SpaceX or Rocket Lab or another launch provider.
Yes, true. And look, like on the Gilmore front, I'll very simply put, as you have mentioned, they have said that they are going to launch next year every year.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for a while.
6 years that I know of.
All right, 6 years. Okay, good. For 6 years, they have said they are going to launch next year. And for 6 years, we have waited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just by looking at that, how likely is that them going to have a next launch? Just from a communication perspective, right? It's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that, unfortunately. Look, you can tell it just makes me uncomfortable. But yeah, it's the boy who cried wolf, and I agree with that statement, and that's what it's feeling like, and it has been for a while now. When I was past my 5th year, that's when it started feeling like that. I want them to prove me wrong. Something awful, like at the core, I would like them to prove me wrong and just launch, and then have a series of successive launches and all that sort of stuff. But and this is the thing, the Southern Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere, it's identical. There are some companies like SpaceX who are clear and transparent. Rocket Lab, in the Northern/Southern Hemisphere, is very transparent as far as they can be. Other companies, Stoke Space, Varda Space, more or less. Stoke Space has been a little bit more forthcoming. Varda, not so much. The first thing I knew about Varda Space returning a vehicle to Australia was when it was announced last year, and I reached out to Southern Launch just to see if I could go down there and live stream that. And I sent out the email in December, and January they were already come back in. So I missed that one. I couldn't actually go there and live stream that one at all. So yeah, I'm just saying this for the comparison, that the companies release public information because everyone is trying to keep investors interested and still bringing in the money, because they got to show the right thing, that they're moving forward in the right way publicly, so nobody cuts money, because money is very limited in investment worlds and all that sort of stuff, especially for space, especially for a new space industry such as the Australian space industry. So yeah, and it's just, yeah, so that's so hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm starting to, the longer it goes, the more uncomfortable I get with saying that out loud, that I'm going to be proven wrong, because it doesn't look like it. Anyway, that's all right. That's an interesting side note. Okay, so, rounding back to the question. So, geez, that got very deep for a moment there. I'm just going to go say hello to Grioz. Hey, g'day. How's it going? Thanks very much for joining us. Glad you actually came along and made it. Although you did say a little bit later that you're going to be right back. Are you back? Sorry. All right, we'll go back to the wagon roller question. So, all right, so. Yeah, I understand your points you've made. What do you guys think? Do you think that do you have an opinion on this? Because I do know online that the New Shepard 31, New Shepard 31, NS31, certainly has receiving some blowback to the point that it is comedians in the US are actually standing up and making fun of Katy Perry. Yeah. And I get the analogies they use as well as like, I've flown on an aircraft, so therefore I can say I'm a pilot.
Yeah, look, I want to just add one thing that I would be a little concerned.
Yeah, please.
It's a personal concern. I guess it's Kate Perry's daughter's name is Daisy.
I don't get it. Sorry.
A lot of celebrities protect the privacy of their children to protect them from like scrutiny.
Yes, that's true.
So here's a scenario where by giving that information, and you think it's harmless because Daisy, you can't find it. Trust me, there are people who can.
Yeah, that's
and you
true.
just need one person to make the information public, and it's a nightmare after that.
Yeah.
So, she's the mother. She has the right to do what she believes is right for a child. I respect that, but I am naturally concerned in terms of safety for the children in this regard.
Yeah, correct. The other thing is too is that look, I'm concerned about that as well. And it was just an awfully big leap for her to make, revealing the child's name. Although there are other celebrities who've done the same and they haven't had any problems as far as I'm aware. But however, in terms of the blowback, in terms of the outpourings on social media, negative outpourings on social media, there was a couple of things that happened because I watched it live. I don't sleep. That's the only way I can say it. I don't sleep really. And so, yeah, there was a couple of things that happened during the launch that made me a little bit suspect of how it played out. And I understand why people are a little bit concerned. Like there's also there's a rumor going around as well that the whole thing was faked.
No, that definitely is not the case.
Yeah, definitely not the case as far as I'm aware. But I'm about to show you a couple of bits of footage that might actually lend some credence to that particular part, which is I'll just show you this.
Oh my God! I saw the stars. I saw the curvature of the earth. You know what's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart.
And is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of hard to see.
That is correct. That is Jeff Bezos, our founder, on the left, as well as Sarah Knights, our crew member 7. And I just want to thank our viewers for joining us. NS-31, New Shepard's 31st mission to space, our 11th human space flight from all parts of this flight, for the booster, for the capsule, for our astronauts. A completely successful flight, one of the smoothest flights we've had so far.
That door opening was very, very
And we're now just awaiting.
The door.
Good? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
She didn't really close it again. Come on out, guys.
Yeah.
Look, we know that was staged. The launch was real, but that was a stage.
Yeah, I know it was staged, but obviously someone opened the door when they shouldn't have. Obviously, Big Daddy Jeff was supposed to. Why do I have you here? My level of professionalism seems to be dropping. Big Daddy Jeff was supposed to come in and officially open the door, and that didn't happen. Someone jumped the gun a little bit and opened the door before they were supposed to. The bit that I everyone knows how live streams work. They've watched me stuff this one up. And many others. It seemed like one of those times the person at the mixing desk who was, you have everything, it's all laid out in front of you. You have a stream deck or you have even more professional equipment. Why not cut away and you have a 7-second delay? Why wouldn't you just cut away to something else? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
At that moment. At that moment, they're accidentally doing that. They would have had 7 seconds warning that was about to happen. So,
yeah, but the other half, Jeff Bezos was in the frame.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to cut you cut the frame out on your boss.
Yeah, but as the door is opening, you cut the frame out on your boss. Yes, and show a different angle. There was drones clearly flying around, but yeah, look, it doesn't help. It doesn't do Blue Origin any favors that happened.
Yeah.
Because Big Daddy Jeff, sorry. Now I can't get away from it. Jeff comes in and does the official opening. The door was clearly open. He didn't need his special blue tool, all that sort of stuff. It just flies. It flies in the face of. There's a massive space community out there. We know and we love it, and we like to see things all the time, and and that's the thing, is we criticize because we know how things should work. And so when and this is the problem, it will be the problem in the end with all space flights. The more people who go to space, the less will follow protocol and will simply open doors.
Tell that to the airline industry.
I know.
You just like, let's be real. It's going to be like airline industry. If you touch the door, you're in trouble.
Yeah, correct.
And
people still try to open the door.
Yeah, right now it's depressurized and you will survive. Do that in orbit and that's a different conversation.
Yeah, correct. Oh, Jim's been active again. Speaking of launches, have you any live streams coming up this year? No, unfortunately, at the moment, no, not at all. I haven't been invited to one, so if anybody knows of any that are upcoming, please let me know. Or if anybody who's tuned into this for some obscure reason, if you work for the Australian space industry and you would like me to be there to live stream something, I can absolutely be there. I have upgraded everything that I have. So I have new equipment, I have new cameras, all that sort of stuff. I have point of view stuff, and I have a Starlink unit. I put it away. It's not sitting there in the corner anymore.
Okay.
I had a guest. Put it away. Put it away. Just put it away. And the other question that Jim asked as well is, so if anybody knows of any upcoming launches that they'd like me to go on live stream, please, and they're in the Australian space industry. Anyway, the other question that Jim asked as well was Capricorn 1, Brian?
What is Capricorn 1 in this scenario?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm confused. I'm sorry, that's not hard to do.
Jim, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm busy working on my space mission, and I'm collecting data in orbit and stuff right now, so I have not been paying attention to other launches.
Capricorn 1. Oh, I'm doing a quick Google. To see if we can. It is Capricorn 1. Hang on. It is a 1977. Reporter discovers a post Mars landing was a crew mission was planet is faked.
Okay,
yeah, we got it. Yeah,
all right, Jim. Okay,
don't need to break your fingers, Jim. We got it.
Yeah.
It took us a little bit, but we finally got it.
Yeah, look. I know enough people who have done work at Blue Origin, and I can honestly say that the rocket launch was real. It landed. It did all its things. And quite likely, they had a safety person go and check on the women first, make sure they were alive and well, help them detach from the harnesses, etc., etc. Then went back, closed the door, and tell Jeff, "Okay, you're good to live stream.
You're good to go for the publicity shot."
Yeah, because you don't want. It's like, imagine they land, Jeff Bezos opens it and goes like, "Medic!"
Oh, that'd be great. That'd certainly make international headlines right around the world.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is too is that look, it's a non-zero chance. So and I just want to put this into perspective for everybody who has raised concerns or conspiracy theories, all that sort of stuff about the ladies going to space or passing the Kármán line. Yes, it was just a jaunt. Yes, it's a touristy thing, but I'm just going to say there's a zero chance, absolute zero, non-zero chance of this thing blowing up. So when they go, they're trusting the fact that this thing has been to orbit, or been to space 31 times, and this is the mission that's not going to fail, because there is a very real chance that can happen still. And it's a lot safer than it ever has been. I mean, with pretty much in 1969 they put everybody on top of a loaded Saturn V before they shot it off to the moon. It was fully loaded, fully fueled, had everything going, it had everything on it. So it's basically a bomb waiting to go off, and they had to travel next to it and up in a lift to actually get onto it. It's a bomb.
Yeah, look, in fairness, like, as a reference, if you fly on an airplane, the odds of something like happening to you are like 1 in 20 million. That's like the statistics, I believe, in terms of passenger count. So in the space industry, I think the space shuttle was rated as 1 in 100 in terms of risk profile. New Glenn, SpaceX rockets, we actually don't know where that number lands now.
I do.
Oh,
it's
really?
a really weird statistic I picked up on.
All right, what's the number?
It's 1 in 270.
1 in 270.
1 in 270 chance of something going wrong. That was the reason why I know back in the day I was following SpaceX ridiculously closely as they were getting prepared for crew missions, and they were trying to get NASA to lower that statistic slightly so that way they could actually make it with that. So yeah, it's 1 in 270. That's the chances of it happening. So and
so
that,
you have to exceed that as a risk.
Yeah, you've got and you don't meet that one. You need to exceed it. So you need to go beyond that, and that's what will happen over time. So regardless, whoever it is, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, Stoke Space, Varda Space, they're the guys who send medical stuff up and back. Anyone with launch ambitions, Rocket Lab, I don't know if I mentioned that, they're all going to have the same statistics at some point, that it's got to be as safe as statistically possible. There is a chance, yes, it'll blow up, but then again, there is a chance your aircraft that you're getting on will also blow up as well, just for no particular reason. I mean, they do everything. Remember, when they load your aircraft full of fuel, they ground it first. So there's a wire that actually goes from it's inside the hose that goes from the aircraft inside the wing down into the ground. So that way the aircraft is grounded. So there's no chance. There's minimizing the chance of spark happening while the aircraft is sitting there being refueled. And then when they actually refuel the aircraft, there are 2 hoses that go into the aircraft. Some of them is incorporated into one hose, and some of them is 2 hoses. The one is the hose for the fuel to go in, and the other is to get let the fume and the vapor out at the same time, to try and further reduce so vapor recovery and all that sort of stuff on your aircraft as well. Speaking of which, you've got to fly on. Anyway, this doesn't make you nervous. No, it shouldn't make you nervous.
Fly on my head? Is it blocking my glorious reflection?
No, not at all. Not at all. You look as amazing as ever, as always, and I do appreciate it. So, hang on. I'm sorry. I must report this video for misleading information. Why? Why is that? Why is that? What did we say that was misleading? I'd like to know the end result of that one. Please break your fingers. please type out a response so I can put it up on screen. But what I'll do for the moment is I'll put myself and Brian up on screen, so that way you get to see us lovely individuals. There was a horrible echo then. That was weird.
Yeah.
No, the gain's up too high. You're down too low. But that's
there
okay.
we go. Okay.
All right. So
well, he types the response out.
Let's riff.
Yeah, let's riff. Yeah, let's riff a little bit.
Space riff.
So, let's switch it. Like about a week or 2 ago, the University of Sydney ran a celebration for the Waratah Seed launch mission, which is the one I'm on, right?
Yep.
So, a little bit of side space news here in Australia is that the Waratah Seed mission was considered a success. We had 9 payloads on board, which is the highest amount for any CubeSat mission, right? 9 different missions.
Yep.
8 of the 9 were successful.
Yep.
Now, the only reason why the 9th wasn't successful, in short answer, is we had trouble contacting the guy in charge of it. Okay, that's basically the sum of it in a nutshell. All right, but everybody else was launched. Everybody else has got their data.
Yep.
Everything's working. It is the most dense space mission, CubeSat mission that was done.
Yep.
And I'm fortunate to be part of that launch. So we celebrated that mission. Everyone gave a short talk. They put me on a panel after that. There were 5 of us in the panel, 1 host. And I realized there was something really, really silly in that room. Everybody on that panel, including the host, had a PhD. Except for me. I just have permanent hair damage. Right? But like it was just quite an interesting thing. It's like you have to be PhD grade knowledge to actually do this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here going like, I don't have a PhD. My team doesn't have a PhD.
Yep.
Right? The closest thing to a PhD I have is my haircut, as I mentioned. So it was actually quite an interesting consideration for myself personally that I have actually done stuff that was really hard. In fact, I think the realization after that conversation is no one questions my PhD, whether I have a PhD or not. I'm already there.
Yeah. Because you've got the experience to do it. You've done it. So whereas the others are still theorizing about it. Theorizing about it. Anyway, so yeah, well, I don't think we're going to get a response for this thing about misleading information. It might be my statistics 1 in 270 might be wrong, so that's okay. We'll find out anyway. I might recheck my facts.
Maybe if they're saying that it's the mission was staged and he thinks it's misleading that we're saying it, like we're saying that the Earth is flat, right?
Yeah. I'd like to know the answer to that one. I'm so curious at the moment. But yeah, so yeah, coming back to the two things we covered. So just to let everyone know that because this is I'm reigniting the Space Down Under, I'm going to be going back to doing a few more of these, hopefully with you, Brian. But the other person I'm looking forward to doing this with as well is I'm going to be bringing on board Jim Cleland. Jim and I got along well when I met him over Christmas last year. So he's a great guy. I actually went to Edinburgh and met up with him. He's a wonderful gent, and hopefully he'll start to join me to cover more of UK space news and what exactly is going on over there. So there will be more of these, hopefully once a month with any luck. With the next one, I'll be covering a lot more than just two stories, because there's quite a bit that's happening in the Australian space industry and so much more that's happening with the global space industry that I'd like to bring to you guys anyway. And believe it or not, I believe there's another lunar landing happening in either May or June.
I have to
private Japanese company that's looking to do that. So yes, and so I'll be live streaming that as much as I can. Last one I did by myself, just because of the hour of the day, and Jim wasn't available. But that's okay. People have to work. So yeah, the intent is with the Igniting. Just I want to provide some context for you guys. That the Igniting the Space Down Under is back. Funny little thing, just little quibble. As soon as I put that up as a live stream that I was going back to doing Igniting the Space Down Under, I lost 10 subscribers.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
It was weird. It just made me laugh so much, but that's okay. It's not for everybody. I understand that, but yeah, there's just at the moment there is a growing pace in both the Australian and the global space industries, and I kind of need to bring that to you guys, to everyone who follows along. So I think we might actually call it. Are you happy?
Yep.
You happy with everything?
Everything.
Okay, cool. All right. So thank you very much to Brian for actually coming and joining me here in my studio. And basically, if you want any more info about Brian, I'll update the description below and his social media pages and everything in that description below. So thank you very much, Brian, for joining me. I do appreciate you coming. It will be here live in the studio with me. It's not very often I have people in my studio at all, but it was great to actually have you in 3D in person, and thank you very much for joining me here.
A pleasure.
And same as always, guys, remember to want to grab your cup. Come on, we practiced this. We did. All right, remember, stay
caffeinated.